Hi there, it's Miss Jones again from Sew with Miss Jones. We are at the last two things that we have to do for this project. The first one that we have to do is stuffing. If you notice, it says we are on step number 8, stuffing and finishing. So to do this step, I have some stuffing. Now your package of stuffing might look different from mine. This is what I have. I have some straight pins. I'm going to use those later to put the hole together. And then I have both a chopstick and a pencil. And I'm going to use one of these to help get the stuffing down into, or up into the ears. Okay? Because they're going to be a little bit harder. You won't be able to stick your finger all the way in. So either a pencil, and you're going to use the eraser side of the pencil, or you can use a chopstick. Okay, so now you get to see what my stitching looks like. Ta-da! So I have stitched all the way around, leaving about a 3-inch opening at the bottom. I have my needle still sticking in here because I don't want to lose it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in my pin cushion, or you can just stick it in a little piece of felt so you don't lose it. If you notice, I put it in sideways like that. I always do that with needles. See, I've got some more over here, because if you put them straight down, sometimes they will get lost inside the pin cushion. But if you stick them in sideways like this, then they're easy to find. So, okay, to stuff this, that's the step we're on now. You can't just like pull out a big bunch of this and jam it in there, because your felt friend's going to be lumpy. So, and if you'll notice, when you pull yours out, your stuff's a whole lot fluffier than this stuff that I have. This is just some that I found in my classroom. So I'm not going to put a huge chunk in because I don't want to tear open my space that I did here. And you're also not trying to make this super, super fat. So I put a little chunk in, and I am using my chopstick to push it up into the corner. And you want to try to make sure that things are kind of even, so I don't think I got quite the same amount. Again, fluff it a little bit. Don't make the piece too big. It'll take a little bit longer to do it that way, but at least we're not going to tear open those stitches, because remember, this is not machine sewn. This is all sewn by hand, and so our stitches tend to be a little more delicate. So I have my needle threaded with 3 strands, because that's what I've been using, of embroidery floss, and I have a knot tied at one end. I'm going to come up through the middle, remember, because I don't want to have any knots on the outside, and I'm going to come up through that last stitch that I did, and that's so that this one will be connected to the other one. Tuck that knot in if I need to. And it's fighting me today. Maybe if I take the pin out, that will help. Yeah, that's the problem. The pin was in the way. Alrighty, I think I'm just going to hold this together with my fingers. Okay. So I am going to slide under this last little knot so that I have a continuation of my thread that goes along the upper edge. And I'm going to go from the back to the front, through the loop, back to the front, through the loop, back to front, through the loop. Almost done. We've got a few more to go. Back to front, the loop. Did you notice what I just did? My thread got kind of tangled, and instead of just keeping on pulling, what I did was I pulled it back the opposite direction just a little bit to kind of straighten it out, and that helped me get through. My tail's getting a little, oh, so I don't like that stitch. It's way too big. So I'm going to take my needle and pull it out completely. See if I can rethread my needle quickly. And yep, they all went through. This is what happens when you try to sew fast. You don't get them as accurate. I've also been checking the back to make sure that I am coming through the back at about the same distance that I'm coming through the front. That's a little better. A little bit more, maybe about 10 more stitches, maybe. Let's see, 1, 2. So while I was sitting and sewing my front to back together, I am addicted to sewing videos on YouTube. There are lots of people that I really like to watch them make their different projects. That doesn't mean I'm going to make all of their projects, but one of the things that I have found out is that I learn a lot when I watch somebody else work. So even though I have been sewing forever, oh, what happened? I didn't get through here. I'm always learning new kinds of things. In fact, when I got ready to do this, oh, and I goofed again. When I got ready to do this blanket stitch and the overcast stitch, since I hadn't done either one of them in way more years than you've been alive, maybe even more years than your parents have been alive, I had to get some help, and the help that I got was to watch a YouTube video. And I actually watched more than one because, okay, you're probably wondering what I'm doing. I got a knot in my thread back here, and I don't want that to be there. Oh, I know what it is. It's not a real knot. It's the thread from my overcast stitch, and I just need to jam that back down inside. Let's see if I can do that real quick because it's messing me up. See, even though I've been sewing forever, I don't do things perfectly. I am like everybody else. We make mistakes sometimes. Let's see if I can get that hidden in there. I'm going to have to take another one out because it's really bothering me. So if you notice what I'm doing to try to take them out, the other thing that I notice is my edges aren't even, so, and I couldn't see that from the front. So I'm going to take a few more out. And then that's going to give me a big enough space that I can get that guy tucked down inside completely. And I'm also going to pull on my edges to make sure they're nice and even. And I am going to put a pin back in here to make sure they stay even. Let me rethread. Okay, let's see if we can get this to work this time. All right, so up through the back, through the loop. I will tell you, it is a whole lot harder sewing when you're doing it for video than it is when you are doing it yourself, because I have to hold this far enough away from me so that it will stay in the frame. And when I am doing regular sewing, I tend to pull it up closer to my face. not real close to me. Oh, and that one was enormous. Let me get that one out of there. I wear reading glasses, and so they help me when I am stitching. But still, where you have your hands, and I like to sit on the couch when I'm stitching and have a glass of iced tea or a cup of coffee or a cup of hot tea, and I watch sewing videos, or I watch videos about history. Sometimes I watch movies. But it's a really kind of fun thing to do when you can do two things at one time. If I had a friend over and I could work on this, I could be doing this while we were talking, which would also be a lot of fun. That's one of the things I like about teaching sewing at school, is because I get to talk to students about sewing while they are sewing, and they get to talk to each other, and it's a very social kind of behavior. So I am going to take that last stitch under the top there and put my needle down through the middle, and I'm going to go out the back side this time. I just want to make sure that I pull it a little bit tight, because then my tail's not going to show on the outside. Get rid of this last pin. Put my needle away so I don't lose it. And there she is, my felt friend. I still have not found a name for her yet. Ellie Elephant's a little too much. Maybe I'll call her Chloe. This is my elephant, Chloe. All right, I hope you had fun doing yours, and I'll be right back. Hi there, it's Miss Jones. You have been hearing my voice and seeing my hands all the way through this project, but this is actually the first time you are going to see my face, and the last time, because we are done with this project. I have my little felt friend all completed, and I bet you didn't know how much you learned while you were doing this project. You learned to manage your time, you learned to manage your resources, you learned 2 different sewing stitches that can be done by hand. You learned to persevere and follow through until you were finished. You learned how to cut fabric, how to pin a pattern on fabric. You learned how to arrange the pieces so that it followed the pattern. You learned lots of different kinds of skills while you were working on this project that you didn't even realize you were learning at that time. So I hope you are all very proud of yourself. I think this little felt friend is adorable, and I am sure that yours are too. You take care of yourself. Bye-bye.